So when it comes to VSL copywriting, we have two things that I want to talk about. This is very important to know: tactics versus strategy. Most people know about the tactics. That's what all the books are about and all the courses are about. But strategy is far more important. And this is what separates, the really big brands who write monster VSLs that can scale on cold traffic, is that they understand strategy and structure. So this is the best thing for increasing your VSL win rate. I know that personally. And let's dive in. So when it comes to writing the VSLs, this also works and applies for advertorials. There's two things to keep in mind, and this is like the high level overview. You have your tactics, which is the wording that you use, the reading level, the sentence structure, the tricks of the trade, how you convey benefits, how you convey emotional promises, how you build urgency, scarcity. It's the specific words that you're using. And this is what everyone thinks copywriting is. This is what everyone focuses on. But it's not the most important, and it's certainly not what makes you the most money and makes the most effective ads. That comes down to strategy. This is way more important. And you'll notice that people who are the best VSL copywriters, the best marketers, the best direct response guys, they focus on strategy. The flow, the story arc, the structure of your VSL, and most importantly, the overall emotional journey. Where are we taking them? What's point A? What's point B? What's the transition? What's the bridge between the two? And how do we actually build that out in our VSL flow? You always start with this. A lot more time should go into this than actually writing and thinking about what words to use, because that will come naturally once you've figured this out. So strategy comes first. And here's why. We have to decide what that emotional journey is before we can know how to do it, before we know how to take them on it, before we know how to structure the language, the different paragraphs, the different sections. We have to know what the sections are. So this seems very simple, but pretty much nobody, that's not true. Very few people actually focus on this and talk about this. Everyone's focused on the tactics and the wording because it's more exciting and it's more fun, but it's definitely not the most effective. The strategy dictates the structure and format of our VSL, okay? Is it a first-person story? For some market level awareness levels, this is better. For some niches, this is better, right? When selling to women, this can often be better. Again, depends on your market and their state of awareness. Is it an informational VSL? Are we gonna educate them? Are we gonna take them through the different mechanisms and focus on the how the product works? Or is it a more emotional one? Are we gonna focus on what they get and why they want it? And then the authority figure narration, that's also a common one, especially with big brands. They'll have a doctor or a physical therapist narrating from the first person perspective, giving their story. So you have to decide this based on market awareness level, the niche that you're in, who you're selling to, and also what works best for you. What are you most used to, most comfortable with? All of that plays a part in this, and you want to take time to really think about it. But what I'll say is one of the best ways to determine what strategy to use. It's very simple. Look at what the most successful competitors are doing. The people who are winning, who are scaling their ads, what format are they using? And this is how we figure that out. You take one of their best VSLs and you break it into a structure. You identify the key sections. Where does the script transition, right? It'll transition after the lead into an agitation, and then it'll transition to oftentimes giving a bunch of benefits, then dismissing the alternative solutions, opening a loop and teasing the problem mechanism. You want to label each of these sections with a few words. And this is what's going to give you a structure, the VSL structure. This makes it very easy to follow that structure because now you know that it works for your market. So you're not starting from scratch, you're not guessing, you're using something that you know works, and now your job is to write it and adapt it to your product. So this is how we do that. Once you've outlined that structure, now we're going to write the VSL. So what are the key things to use here? Again, you don't want to start from scratch. You don't want to use your best guess. This is a lot of the beginners do this. A lot of people that I've talked to who are just starting out with copywriting, even if they've been in e-commerce for a while, they think that they can just take an idea and write a VSL from scratch. This very rarely works. You have to be a very, very skilled copywriter to be able to write winning stuff from scratch consistently. I highly recommend using a proven story arc, a proven flow, and you'll see that most of the top VSLs, whether it's Gundry, Miami MD, the ClickBank stuff, they are using the same or similar structures every time. They found what works for the market, and then they write a VSL based on that. They're not starting from scratch. You'll see patterns that they're using the same closes, they're using the same intros, they're using the same problem mechanisms where they're giving the benefits of each ingredient of their product. There's a lot of commonalities, and that's because it works, and it works much better than coming up with something new from scratch. So when it comes to writing, the way we actually make this happen is we have to research. We have to do deep research into who we're selling to. So what are their pain points? How do they describe them? What are the key emotions? What are their secret desires? What do they actually want, right? If it's a skincare thing, they don't actually want more beautiful skin. They want to be more attractive to other people. They want to be treated better. They want to feel younger. They want better relationships, and they want a sense of freedom. So this stuff you'll only get by researching your market, going on the forums, seeing how they work, using AI to do deep research, on Amazon reviews, on other websites copy. And what kind of language do they use? How do they describe their problem? How do they describe the alternative solutions? You know, their frustrations with chiropractors or dermatology clinics, whatever it is that your market typically goes to and they're used to, how do they describe it? And then this is where the tactics come down to. So this is what gives us kind of the ammunition to fill in that VSL structure. And then how we actually do that comes down to a lot of practice and skill. And this is where the tactics come in once again, where we're going to actually, okay, we know what the benefits are. We know what the pain points are. How do we word that in a way that's the most easy to accept, easy to understand, relatable? How can we do it while building rapport, building belief? That comes down to just copywriting skill. And to summarize this whole section about filling in the VSL, research shows us what we want to say, what we say to hook them in, to build desire, to build the belief. And then practice, skill, and copywriting tactics show us how to say that. How do we word it? How do we structure the sentences? We're using active language, simple reading levels, all the stuff that's, you know, talked about often. Now it comes into play. So just to summarize, the first and most important thing is that you want to make a deliberate effort to determine what structure you want to use. Then we want to research thoroughly, get clear on the pain points, emotional and physical, get clear on the alternative solutions, get clear on the language they use to describe all this stuff, and then we're going to write the copy. You also want to do research onto your product, right? You should know your mechanism. How do we deliver the benefit to them? What happens in the body or in their life when they use it? And, you know, the general information about your product. And after you've written your copy, you want to spend time polishing it, editing it, lowering the reading level, simplifying the sentence structure, making sure that everything makes sense and flows and there's no tension points where they can get lost in the copy. And that's generally my high-level approach to writing VSLs. It's structure first and then tactics. Again, the reason I'm making this clear, even though it might seem obvious, is that so many people I talk to, a vast majority, even skilled people who've made a lot of money, have this reversed. And they focus so much on the copy and the words, etc., when they really should be focusing on the structure and the flow. That's how you write a monster VSL that can scale your brand just with one ad, is when you really dial in the flow and the structure and the messaging, the big idea, the big picture stuff. And then you turn that into reality using the tactics. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about copywriting, etc., you can leave them in the comments or DM me. Otherwise, Otherwise what? Otherwise, that's it. That's all I got to say. All right. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed and have a great week. Peace.